When it comes to plants we grow indoors, sometimes it feels like the needle stuck in the 70s. Don't get me wrong, I love devil's ivy, but Australia's floral diversity is second to none, and I reckon we can be experimenting with a lot more Australian plants indoors. Now let's get this straight from the start. There is no such thing as an indoor plant, but there are plants that are suited to the conditions. Low light, low humidity, and in some cases, like me, slightly absentee gardeners. In fact, you may already be growing an Aussie native indoors. Think maidenhair fern, an ornamental fig, or some of the world's most popular palms. Rainforest species are an excellent place to start, as many thrive in the low light conditions indoors. And Australia's rainforests range from our tropical tip all the way to Tasmania, so there's bound to be a plant for your place. The world-famous WOLLEMI pine, discovered in the rainforests in New South Wales. It is an absolute monster in the forest. It'll get up to 40 metres high. But I reckon in a pot, restricting its growth, you'll get years out of this plant. It's got tough, beautiful blue-grey foliage. It's going to be a beautiful, interesting addition to the lounge room. Potted plants rely on you for everything, and growing inside, they don't even have a chance of rain. I found species with tough leathery foliage, like the WOLLEMI, cope really well. Another thing to look for is a plant with some sort of water storage system, like these Brachychitons. They have this gorgeous swollen stem. Means they're going to be a little bit more forgiving if you miss a watering. If you've got a really warm and bright spot, you might even have a go at trying to grow some bush tucker. This is the Davidson's Plum. It occurs right up the east coast of Australia. There's a couple of species, and you can see it's this fantastic tall and upright plant. Outside, where the pollinator is present, you get these fantastic little fruit. They're very tart, and they occur right along the stem of the plant. But indoors, I reckon it's worth growing for this ruffled and rough foliage alone. And I suspect the delicious lemon myrtle could produce lots of lovely leaves in a brightly lit spot indoors. And you can make a cup of tea with them, so why not give one a go? Form and foliage is queen indoors. The more striking, the better. And nothing is more striking than the ancient and architectural cycads. And Australia has a stack of species. I reckon this macrozamia is well worth a try. Like anything that's sitting on your mantelpiece, plants can get dusty, and when a leaf gets dusty, it actually inhibits its functioning. It also cuts down the light, and inside, it's already struggling to get as much as it can. So a really simple thing to do to keep your plants functioning well is to clean them. Just every now and then, dust down the leaves, and you can have a look for pests at that point too. And if you've got any scale or mealybugs, a bit of horticultural oil, give it a clean up, and you can take care of them at the same time. Indoor gardens don't just grow up. They can climb, hang, scramble and spill. I've had great success with kangaroo vine. It's vigorous and gorgeous. And if you've got a light-filled stairwell, well, it's the plant for you. Hoya australis, they are classic hanging basket plants. This one will need a really bright spot to get it to produce those really beautiful little fragrant waxy flowers, but I think the foliage is gorgeous enough. It's thick, it's tough, which means it can dry out a little bit between waterings. It's a great plant. Even the humble old native violet will spill over a windowsill if that's the only spot you've got for an Aussie indoors. Now these plants, they are going to be relying on you for absolutely everything. So starting with a really good quality soil is key. I'm going to use a native potting mix. It's really well drained, but it's also got added fertiliser, which you should top up about every 6 months. Just checking the roots, they look pretty good, ready to go in a new pot. Backfill around the plant, just pressing down gently to make sure it's stable in the pot, and then apply a small amount of gravel mulch. One of the hardest things to get right indoors is the watering. And of course, it's going to always depend on the species that you're growing and the season that it's growing in. But most like to stay moist, but not drown. So I prefer to water them where they can drain freely. Once it's finished draining, I sit them inside a sealed pot and a little bit of gravel in the base. Ensures they're never sitting in water. Finding the correct position is the holy grail of the indoor gardener. Just like the garden, you need to know your plant. For most species, a hot north-facing window is too much. You're actually going to burn leaves, but filtered light like this is perfect. The more the better. Over the other side of the house, I've got a south-facing window. That's great because it's even light all the time. And of course, you've got to think about this. The heater, the air conditioner, keep the plants away from the blasting air. It might take you a few attempts to find the perfect position, and they might need shuffling around from season to season. But I promise, it's way more fun to rearrange plants than furniture. Even if you don't have a garden, you can have plants indoors. And with so many amazing species to choose from, why not give a few true blue Aussies a try? Let me know how you go.